though it's not a big surprise just here in the last few hours, offensive tackle Jennings Dunker has confirmed that he will be back for 2025. Add that to Logan Jones, who unfortunately has been reported to have a cast on his hand at practice, and therefore he appears to be out for the bowl game. But of course, he's coming back as well.
Yeah, broken bone, it sounds like, in that arm. So that's unfortunate in a sense. In a sense, but honestly, again, how are we looking at bowl games? Because if we're looking at bowl games from a standpoint of let younger guys grow, let older guys who are out of eligibility get one final hurrah, then I'm totally fine with Tyler Ellsbury getting the start at center. I think it's a great story to see him out that way. And yeah, you're going to get Dunker back. You're going to get Jones back. I thought the Dunker thing was a bit of a formality. I don't know where he would have been on draft boards. So tailback is a discussion we had the other day with Coach Patterson. I think that might be my one position. I mean, obviously their best player played running back. So, that's a position to watch, especially. We saw a few clips from some media members here this afternoon because the media got about 20 minutes watching practice in Nashville, and saw Hank Brown and Jimmy Sullivan passing the ball back and forth, but neither one of those guys are eligible to play. So they can participate in practice. They cannot play. And we did see at least one play that I saw on social media was a Stratton to Terrell Washington, who was coming out of the backfield. So it'll be interesting to see what type of distribution we get for tailback touches, because Terrell's lined up outside quite a bit. Well, now that they're down a running back in Caleb Johnson, do they spread it out evenly between the three top backs? Do we see Terrell play mostly in the slot and then you spread it out between two guys, or maybe you spread it out between three guys and that third guy is not Terrell Washington? Maybe it's a Brevin Dahl or it's a Xavier Williams. Those guys can play and retain red shirts. So, those are question marks, I guess, as far as storylines that I'm looking forward to kind of seeing play out next Monday. Obviously, Brendan Sullivan's health is, to me, an interesting one. Obviously, he's back and he's practicing, but the way he plays, you mentioned it earlier, his aggression on the ground, I want to see that. But at the same time, he's probably the future. I mean, if they don't get another quarterback, he's I don't want to say undisputed starter, because Hank Brown should get every chance at winning the job, as should, I guess, Jackson Stratton and Jimmy Sullivan. But Brendan is the future. So, I guess I don't worry about that with a mobile quarterback, but it's fans will resent me saying it, but in a sense, it's a meaningless game. It gets another win to the Kirk Ferentz resume. They go to 9-4, and maybe you look at it and say, hey, we get an opportunity to post our flag on an SEC field, so to speak. Down in the South, playing an SEC team. But I don't know, do recruits care about bowl games? Maybe they used to, but now I can't imagine that a recruit's saying, well, look at Music City Bowl and Iowa beat an SEC squad. I have no idea if they're thinking that.
At no other point in the season would you be watching Pitt and Toledo with such focus.
I am not a recruit.
I know you're not a recruit.
I don't think recruits probably care.
Yeah, this is bothering me about bowl games, but I'm actually, as I just mentioned, I am an example of the lackadaisical approach to this and the non-care for these bowl games. So I'm upset by it, but I'm also going along with the crowd. I'm starting to lose interest in these bowl games and not watching them. Did want to ask you about Reese Vanderzee's availability.
Sounds like he's back. Sounds like he's going to be healthy. That was word from Kirk Ferentz here last week. So that would help whoever's playing quarterback if you can have a fully healthy receiver core. They have not had anybody at receiver, with the exception being a couple of walk-ons, enter the portal. So positive. They need Jacob Gill back. I'm guessing he demanded, not like verbally demanded, but I mean like his play demanded a bigger cut NIL-wise. I thought he earned that in an offense that obviously new under Tim Lester, but recent history says that it's really difficult to get receivers involved. He got himself involved. And I don't know that Reese Vanderzee fits that mold, but he showed promise early in the season as a true freshman. So this will be his first bowl prep. And so those two guys I look to be number one and number two. And then after that, I think there should be plenty of healthy competition this bowl prep and on Monday for the game between Jarrett Bowie and Seth Anderson. There were rumors during the season that Seth Anderson may be on his way out. He has not exited via the portal. And my guess is he's a grad. I'd have to look back at how many years he's been in school, because my guess is he'd qualify as a grad transfer here this next season, because he of course played at Charleston Southern, but I would have to confirm that. So guys that are grad transfers could leave after the portal window closes. That's still a rule, right, Mark? I didn't miss some. Every time I repeat a rule back, somebody's like, well, the NCAA just decided earlier today. And I'm like, oh, okay. I guess I need a rules expert on the show.
Yeah, I am right there with you. And we've got about 100 on the line, so we do appreciate everyone catching up with our late plans here. So I also appreciate Corey being flexible this week. Of course, our regular showtime is Tuesdays, and that, of course, was Christmas Eve. I, as you can probably tell, am traveling, and so it was kind of difficult for me to work through plans this week, but Corey made himself available today, so here we are. So we scheduled this about 20 minutes before we went on live. So appreciate about 100 of you being able to catch up with us. So, of course, once we get done, go back and watch what you missed. So I want to stay on a topic concerning this Missouri matchup that you started to hit on. And that's, of course, you got two major players and the two conferences that rule college football, Iowa, Missouri. There are bragging rights and there's constant conversation. You threw one at me on a DM after the Indiana Notre Dame game in regards to Sean McDonough flapping his gums about the Big Ten, and the thought of counting these postseason games and looking at these conferences and putting them in a certain light and ranking order based on postseason games, which of course the CFP games are one matter and these bowl games are another. But you mentioned playing an SEC team. And Iowa has not fared well the last few times out against ranked teams, against really good teams. We took away those 3 games from last season in which they got blitzed by the 3 ranked teams. Who was it? Penn State, Michigan, Tennessee, shut out in those games. Didn't fare well against Ohio State. Of course, Iowa State eventually became a ranked team, but not at time of kickoff. So people are counting up 0-4 and being outscored 127-7 last 4 times in playing a top team. So do you gain any satisfaction, or should Iowa and its fan base, if they go out and beat a ranked Missouri team?
Sure. I mean, it's good going. I mean, I say it's meaningless. That's not totally the case. I think it's meaningless maybe from a recruiting standpoint. I don't think it's as significant there, but I think internally within the program, it helps. It just helps. I mean, there's going to be a not large faction of the fan base that really appreciates 9 wins. And I'm not saying that tongue in cheek or sarcastically. Like, I understand it can be difficult to get to 9 wins, especially in the Big Ten. I get that. And Kirk Ferentz would resent me even implying that 9 wins isn't impressive. So I understand there's 2 sides to the coin. I do not look at 9-4 as a successful season. I was thinking about that earlier today. If they go 8-5, wow. But 9-4 is not a success. 9-4 is still disappointing. But it at least gives you positive momentum with a faction of the fan base. I think people within, to an extent, there will still be guys that leave because they're going to leave. That's, there's money involved and guys want to test the waters. But Iowa, like you said, has struggled in these types of games. They haven't beaten a ranked team since 2021, team that finished ranked since 2021 when they upset Penn State at home. And yeah, they got throttled last year against an SEC team.
Penn State did not finish ranked that year.
Okay, they haven't beaten a ranked team since 2021. I don't know the last time they beat a team that finished ranked. Did Northwestern finish ranked in 2020? They probably did because they won the West.
Oh, yes, they did.
But Iowa didn't beat them that year. Oh. I'm trying to think of somebody that year.
17-point lead.
2020 was probably USC in the bowl game. They probably finished ranked, I guess. They finished
8-5.
They finished ranked? Well, they probably beat somebody in 2019 that finished ranked. It wasn't Wisconsin because they lost to Wisconsin in 19. They lost to Penn State in 19. Who did they beat in 2019 besides Iowa State wasn't ranked in 19. They were ranked in 20. I don't know. When's the last time they beat somebody who ended up ranked at the end of the season? That's a great question. And I'm assuming Mizzou, where is Mizzou ranked? They're top 20. So if 23. Yeah, so they'll probably end up unranked if Iowa beats them.
In
We don't know that.
2019, Iowa's best wins were against Iowa State 7-6, Minnesota.
Did they finish ranked?
Oh yeah, 11-2. Are
Okay,
you
there
looking
you
at
so
the numbers there? Yeah, that was
yeah.
PJ's big year.
All right, go up here. Let's see 2020, and I just want to. I mean, 2020. I mean, a reduced year, but they didn't beat anybody. You know, those last 6 games,
Yeah.
their best win was Wisconsin, who finished 4-3. So none of those teams were ranked. You mentioned 2021. Indiana did not finish ranked. They were preseason ranked, did not finish ranked. They were 2-10. Purdue, they lost to Purdue, lost to Wisconsin.
Okay, technically a nice win against Minnesota. They did not technically finish in the top 25, but they could have. They finished in my top 25. I'll have you know.
And then we can just.
9-4.
This is just basically a formality, but 2020 we can look at 2022. Won a lot of games and in between 21 and 23. Now 22 was not quite as good. But who was their best win in 2022? Again, Minnesota, I guess. Did Minnesota finish ranked that year?
Again, no, but I ranked them.
All right. Well, there you
go. Purdue 8-6. They won the West.
Was Purdue ranked?
No, 8-6. No,
8-4. Okay, 8-6 after losing in the Big Ten championship game and losing in a bowl game. But I'm just wondering, you know.
No, they did not.
All right, ranked. Go up to 23 then. 23. Yeah.
Best win.
We know they didn't beat anybody that finished ranked.
I don't think they finished ranked, but they finished hot and they won the bowl game.
Yeah, that they did. Give them credit for that. And then this year, yeah, are they going to beat? Is there anybody on the schedule that they've already beaten that could finish ranked?
I doubt it. No, Minnesota's. They're only 7-5.
So if they finish 8-5, could they finish ranked?
Is that their best win?
Yeah.
Minnesota?
Oh yeah. I mean, it is because Wisconsin's not a, you know.
Yeah.
Washington. Who's in it? I don't even know. I'd have to look back at the list of teams. I mean, I've made all my bowl picks, but it seems like the season was a long time ago to even remember who their best wins were. But yeah, I mean, Minnesota would have been the only one that I can think of. They had an opportunity against Iowa State, who will most definitely finish ranked. These bowl games are always harder to predict every year because you have more and more players entering the portal, leaving, just opting out. You got a kid who was a captain for Missouri, a linebacker who has opted out to be with his family. I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm not, but it's odd. It's just not like that's what Coach Patterson said. I don't know what that means from a perspective of historically. That's not something that happens. Like I'm trying to think of an example of it'd be like, Mark, it'd be like you work a job at Best Buy and you decide that on Black Friday you're gonna not show up because you'd like to be with your family that day. Well, okay, whatever. That's great. I'm glad you love your family, but it's odd because it doesn't appear like he's leaving. Although I'm guessing he's maybe out of eligibility, but I don't know. I guess I didn't. Do you know who we're talking about?
I don't. I scurried for some notes on both teams leading into this, and I saw one article on Missouri that was forecasting as many as 10 plus players to be opting out for this game, but I could only verify a couple players moving on to the NFL draft. Of course, their best wide receiver, Luther Burden, who's one of the best in the country. He's going to the NFL draft, and their left tackle, Armand Membo. But other than that, I could not substantiate, nor did I see the news that you're referring to.
Yeah, Chuck Hicks or Charles Hicks. So I guess he was a team captain. I don't even know that he was starting by the time his career has went. So maybe there's other things. I can't imagine that there isn't something else to it. But if it's your on the flip side of this, if it's your last game as a Missouri Tiger, you're skipping that. Okay. So I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, but
Chuck Hicks has been playing college football since 2019.
Maybe he's just tired.
He's tired. He finally just got tired.
He just got
tuckered
tired.
out.
Yeah.
He Played his first 2 years with the Cowboys of Wyoming. Then he transferred to Mizzou in 2021. Didn't play much that year. Looks like special teams, 7 games. The last 2 years, he's been a starting linebacker. 34 tackles, nothing spectacular, but still playing quite a bit. All 12 games, 5 tackles for loss, a couple sacks. Had a better year in 2023.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess more power to him. I'm assuming that means he's not pursuing the NFL route, or maybe he's using that as an excuse to not have to say I'm opting out for the NFL draft.